What is up, film geeks, and welcome back to the channel. Deadpool and Wolverine jumped its way into theaters just over a week ago. In honor of that, we're going to do a comic book trilogy ranking. Took about 12 of the most popular comic book trilogies, put them in a tier list, and that's what we're going to do. Put all these trilogies on their proper tiers. Let me know your favorite and least favorite comic book trilogies down below in the comment section. And where does Deadpool, that trilogy now, where does that fall? Does it go up to the top, down to the bottom, overrated, underrated? Let's talk about it all down below. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Let's hop into these tiers. Starting off with our tiers, we have GOAT. One trilogy we're going as is the GOAT comic trilogy, arguably the GOAT trilogy of all time. Then we have Fantastic, Great, Good, Meh, and Bad. Couples gonna go in each. Here we go. Starting with the Iron Man trilogy. The first Iron Man is a fantastic movie. Iron Man 2 is one of my least favorite MCU movies, and Iron Man 3 has its flaws, but I have a fun time with it. So therefore, I'm going to put the Iron Man trilogy in the good tier. What they did with the first Iron Man is one of the, if not the best origin stories of all time. It's one of my favorite origin stories ever. Robert Downey Jr. was such a gamble, so to bring him in and the way he crafted the character of Tony Stark the way he did, I mean, no one expected him to do that. Iron Man 2, I don't blame anyone for this because Marvel really wanted a fast turnaround. They wanted longer to write the script and to make this movie, and they kind of had to fast forward that process. Iron Man 3, I just think Shane Black shit the bed all over the place, so it's a good trilogy, but definitely not fantastic. Just, it's good. The first movie's good, second one's not good at all. Third one, I enjoyed, but it's definitely flawed. Moving on to Guardians of the Galaxy, I think this is a fantastic trilogy. I think this kind of goes under the radar for how good of a trilogy it is. One of the great origin stories about a group of misfits and how well they can work together. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, I see a lot of people hate it. I never understood the hate for it. I thought it was just a really fun, solid sequel. Guardians 3 was the perfect way to send off majority of our Guardians characters, and it's rocket story. It hits you in the feels. It has all the payoff and all the emotion, everything you could want in it. So the Guardians trilogy, in all honesty, is so fantastic because the first one, with the soundtrack and the vibes, no one knew this movie was going to be that good. No one knew how this movie was going to do at the box office, and it destroyed both. Guardians 2 picks up on the fun, another great soundtrack. You have that father relationship with Peter and Ego, and then Guardians 3, the one character we want to know more about, they gave us it. James Gunn, he's a madman. He did such a great job. Guardians of the Galaxy is fantastic. Argue with the wall if you disagree. The original X-Men trilogy. I'm going great. Pure nostalgia for me. The first X-Men I absolutely loved. X2, X-Men United, that's arguably one of the most underrated comic movies and underrated sequels of all time. X-Men The Last Stand might be one of the favorite of the three because I grew up watching that movie every time I hung out with my friends. We would toss this movie on. Road trip movie. You toss this movie on. A little Suburban, the thing flipped down, you watch it, get the headphones on. X-Men The Last Stand was one of those movies of my childhood that got me to love it so much. And Wolverine is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. I love the character of Logan. I love this trilogy. Now, The Last Stand is a flawed movie. When I go back and revisit it, I go, oh, it is a little slow. It is a little bit boring. They killed Charles Xavier. The timeline makes zero sense at all. Nonetheless, it just has that nostalgia factor for me. Do I think it's on the level of Guardians of the Galaxy? No, but do I still think it's a solid trilogy? Absolutely. It could be fantastic. I'm going to keep it at great because I think Guardians has three perfect movies. And for X-Men, I think The Last Stand is the weakest link. So I'm going to keep it at great. The Unbreakable trilogy. Unbreakable, M. Night Shyamalan's trilogy. Unbreakable, Split, Glass. I love Split. That's my favorite M. Night movie. Unbreakable, I think is overrated. Glass, I think is underrated. So I don't think this is on the level of Iron Man. I'm going to be a hot take for this. I'm going to put it in the meh tier. I know a lot of people hate M. Night. I'm a guy who defends him. And Unbreakable is most people who like M. Night's favorite movie. It's down lower in my ranking, which is bizarre to say. But I think Split is a fantastic movie. I think Glass is an extremely underappreciated movie. Small budget, but they were able to do so much with it. But the reason I enjoy this trilogy, when I would put it higher, but I'll keep it at meh, is James McAvoy. The way this guy performs and the way he's got so jacked. He plays like 20 different people in Split. It could go in the good tier. You know what? We're going to change it. It's a good trilogy. We're putting it in the good tier. I'm happy with that. Then the reason we're doing this trilogy, Deadpool and Wolverine. The Deadpool trilogy. Everything about this trilogy shouldn't have worked. Ryan Reynolds believed in it. No one thought the first Deadpool was going to work. The first time we saw him is in X-Men Origins Wolverine. We also saw him on the Blade Trinity. So Deadpool is a character that's been a long time coming. But the Deadpool trilogy is a fantastic trilogy. I don't think there's a miss here, just like the Guardians trilogy. I don't think there's a miss because first Deadpool is so fun. A guy, basically his life just gets destroyed and taken from him, doing whatever he can to get back. Deadpool 2, the woman of his dreams, the love of his life, he can't save. He's trying to do whatever he can to go back and save her. Deadpool and Wolverine, there's really no plot, but it's Deadpool and Wolverine rolling together, and it was freaking sick as hell. So it's a fantastic trilogy, and of the three, Deadpool Wolverine is my favorite because of just Logan, all the characters they end up bringing up, the surprises and the cameos, and it all just worked so well. And I just think this trilogy is fantastic because it shouldn't have worked, and I'm so glad that it did. And shout out to Ryan Reynolds and everyone involved with this project because Deadpool is a character that I think no one really knew, but everyone loves him now, and that's really due to Ryan Reynolds. Moving on to Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man trilogy. Another fantastic trilogy. I love all three of these movies. I showed my wife these movies, and she had never seen them before, like 2 years ago, and she was even like, those are really good movies. Spider-Man 3, The Weak Link. Huge nostalgia for me. The one I've rewatched the most in my life. The first Spider-Man, what a fantastic origin story. A high school kid gets superpowers. A nerdy kid, all of a sudden, is strong, and he's jacked. He's going to pull the girl that he always wanted. Spider-Man 2, one of the greatest comic sequels of all time. And Spider-Man 3, a movie I defend through and through. I love this trilogy. I was so happy to see Tobey back in the Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy, and it just worked so well for me. Captain America trilogy. I'm going to go with the great tier here. The only weak link for the Captain America trilogy is Captain America: The First Avenger. I've only seen this movie one time all the way through. Never gone back to revisit it. Winter Soldier, Captain America: Civil War, both very, very good movies. I think Winter Soldier is a little bit overrated because a lot of people deem it the best MCU movie. I do not. Captain America: Civil War is basically an Avengers movie, but it works so well dividing our cast, dividing our characters, and who do you love more, whose side do you want? The safest hands are still our own. Steve Rogers, one of my favorite superheroes. He's so noble. I love this guy. I miss him. Maybe one day we'll see him again in the MCU. That'd be cool. Excited for the new Captain America movie. This won't be a trilogy for long. There will soon be 4 Captain America movies. The Ant-Man trilogy. Hot take? Maybe. I'm putting this on the bad tier. First Ant-Man is good. It's cute. It's fun. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Big Don't be a dick. I'm a dick. It's bad. It's just not for me. Not for me. Tom Holland Spider-Man trilogy. Do I put it on the level of the fantastic tier? Far From Home for me is a weak link. So I'm going to put this on the great tier because I'm not a fan of Far From Home. It's one of my, I guess, more towards the bottom MCU movies. But Homecoming, I think, is a fantastic movie. Vulture is such a great villain. Far From Home, Mysterio, I just never gravitated towards it. I found it to be a little bit boring. But Spider-Man No Way Home is absolutely fantastic. So 2 for 3 makes it a great trilogy. And the way they craft this character and give us such a different perspective and different vibe of Spider-Man, I love it. I love how like he has to basically save the world, not just the city. And I think Spider-Man 4 will be a much more grounded story. But Spider-Man 3, bringing everyone back, all 3 Spider-Mans on screen together, that's something we all needed, and it's perfect, and I loved it. Moving on to the Wolverine trilogy. X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, Logan. I'm sorry, for me, this is a fantastic trilogy. Probably my hottest take, but hear me out for a second. Because The Wolverine is extremely underrated. James Mangold gave us such a fantastic movie with a lot of different backgrounds, and it just worked so well, and I loved it. I think everyone does not appreciate this movie enough. I remember renting it on Redbox, watching it at home, screaming to the rooftops. I was so excited. Logan, one of the best send-offs for a character ever. I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine tainted that, but I think Logan was a fantastic send-off and a brutal movie. But X-Men Origins Wolverine, the movie most people hate. I grew up with this movie. I still quote this movie. The first time I ever saw Wade Wilson on screen, I thought Sabretooth from Liev Schreiber was fantastic throughout this one. And obviously, this really messes up the timeline, the Deadpool and everything like that, and they try to erase all of that with one of the Deadpool post-credit scenes. But Logan himself truly becoming Wolverine, that to me, it just worked so well, and he's one of my favorite superheroes, and I thought it was one of the coolest movies, one of the coolest team-up movies we got to see at this point. 2009, you can hate on this movie all you want. I'll defend it to the end of the time. I love the Wolverine trilogy. Again, he's like a top 3 superhero for me. Just the more I talk about him, the more I love him. The X-Men prequel trilogy. First Class, Days of Future Past, and Apocalypse. Apocalypse is the weak link here. The only one I don't really enjoy that much. So it's going to go in the great tier as well. First Class. this is a first-class movie, people, because seeing all of our people that we know from like the original trilogies, all younger, learning their powers, creating the X-Men, that's just so clever and it works so well. And I love James McAvoy as young Charles Xavier. I love Michael Fassbender as Magneto. They just work and their banter works so well. But then you go on to Days of Future Past, one of, if not, the most underappreciated comic book movies ever. One of my personal top 10 favorite comic book movies. I watched it the other night saying, just what a fantastic picture. Oh, it's so good. Starring who? Our boy Logan. X-Men Apocalypse, you can kind of forget about it. That's one of those movies that I just never gravitated towards. Never gone back to a later rewatch. But First Class, Days of Future Past, fantastic. Apocalypse, not that great. 2 for 3, so it's in the great tier. And finally, there's one tier that happens to be empty, and it's the GOAT tier. And in that GOAT tier, The Dark Knight. Of course, I would argue this is the greatest trilogy of all time. Christopher Nolan, my personal favorite director. Batman Begins. What a freaking origin story with Ra's al Ghul and Scarecrow, Cillian Murphy, and Christian Bale just devoting it to it. The Dark Knight. This is a top 10 movie for me of all time. I always go like, oh, it's overrated. No. I'm not even going to say that anymore. This is one of, if not the arguably best comic movie of all time, because it doesn't even feel like a comic movie. It feels like a freaking thriller you're watching. And Heath Ledger's The Joker is one of the greatest performances of all time, if not the greatest performance of all time. Then Dark Knight Rises, I think, is extremely overhated. I mean, everyone hates on this movie. It has 2 of the worst deaths. I'll admit, you just shoot Bane, he dies, and the freaking lady dies too. It's dumb. I get that. But having someone be able to match Bruce Wayne, send him down literally to, like, the bottomless pit, and he has to climb out. Bassa. Dude, it's hyped up. It's so action-packed. Bane is one of my favorite villains of all freaking time. Batman is my favorite superhero of all time. Tied with Spider-Man. They're tied at the number 1 spot. But Bane is just so freaking good.
Peace just cost you strength. Victory is defeated you.
Man, Bane is good. And The Dark Knight is the goated trilogy, my favorite comic book trilogy of all time. That's going to do it for our comic book trilogy ranking. They're all on their tiers. What do you guys make of it? What is your favorite and least favorite comic book trilogy of all time? Let's talk about it down below. Hit the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Thank you guys for watching and for being here. Appreciate the support lately. Means a lot. A lot more content coming. See you guys in the next one.